There's a moment in television history that 23 million Americans watched live. September 30th, 1988, ABC's 2020. Barbara Walters sits across from Mike Tyson, the undefeated heavyweight champion, and his wife Robin Givens, a rising actress. For 12 excruciating minutes, America watched Mike Tyson, the most feared man on the planet, sit silent while his wife called him scary, volatile, and manic-depressive on national television. He said almost nothing, just sat there, broken. That interview destroyed him, not physically, psychologically. It shattered the myth of Iron Mike and exposed vulnerability, weakness, humiliation, the kind that comes from being publicly emasculated by the person who's supposed to love you. Today, over 35 years later, Mike talks about that night with clarity that only comes from distance and therapy. "I wanted to disappear," he said. "I wanted to die." Robin, now in her late 50s, has a different story. She calls herself a survivor of domestic violence. Says Mike was the aggressor, that she was terrified. Who's telling the truth? Maybe both, maybe neither. But what's certain is that on September 30th, 1988, the world watched a marriage collapse in real time, and Iron Mike was never the same. Mike Tyson met Robin Givens in early 1987 at a party in Los Angeles. He was 20, undefeated, and earning millions per fight. She was 22, educated, beautiful, and starring in Head of the Class. She came from money, private schools. He came from Brownsville, street fights, survival. They were opposites, and Mike was mesmerized. Robin was the kind of woman he'd never had access to before. Elegant, articulate, sophisticated. She spoke multiple languages. He could barely read, but there was more. Customato, the only father figure Mike had known, had died months earlier in November 1985. Mike was 20 and completely lost. Cus had been his anchor, his discipline. Without him, Mike was emotionally adrift. They started dating. Mike obsessed. He showered her with gifts, jewelry, cars, designer clothes, called her dozens of times a day, showed up unannounced at her shoots. Robin, according to people close to her, liked the attention, but was overwhelmed by the intensity. Mike saw her as his prize, proof that he'd made it, that he wasn't just some street thug with fast hands, someone who made him look legitimate. Robin, according to her later accounts, saw opportunity. Mike was rich, famous, and falling apart emotionally. Cus had just died. Mike was vulnerable, grieving, and desperate for someone to fill the void. Robin and her mother, Ruth Roper, saw an opening. Within months, they were inseparable, and everyone around Mike, his trainers, his friends, his promoters, started warning him, "She's not who you think she is, she's using you." Mike didn't listen. He was in love, or what he thought was love. On February 7th, 1988, Mike Tyson and Robin Givens got married. Secretly, no big wedding, no press, just a quick ceremony and a marriage certificate. Mike was 21, Robin was 23, neither was ready. Both were broken in ways they didn't understand yet. From the beginning, it was chaos. They fought constantly. Screaming matches that turned into thrown objects. Neighbors heard the fights, accusations of cheating, control battles. Mike wanted Robin home, devoted to him. Robin wanted her career, her independence. Neither knew how to compromise. Robin's mother, Ruth, moved in within weeks. That made things exponentially worse. Ruth treated Mike like a checkbook, redecorated his houses without asking, made financial decisions, spoke for him in meetings. Mike, who'd never had boundaries, didn't know how to say no. He just got angrier. Robin later said Mike was physically abusive, that he hit her, threatened her, threw her into walls. Mike denied it publicly for years, then admitted to being out of control, but claimed he never hit her. Friends of both say the truth is somewhere in between. Both were volatile, both threw things, Both said horrible things. The honeymoon phase, if it ever existed, lasted weeks. By spring 1988, they were both miserable. But divorce wasn't an option yet. Robin's career was booming partly because of Mike's fame. Mike's image was tied to having a good woman by his side, so they stayed. And it got worse. By summer 1988, the marriage was a disaster. Mike was training less, partying more, spiraling emotionally. His team was fracturing. Kevin Rooney, his trainer since Coos died, was being pushed out. Don King was circling, whispering in Mike's ear, positioning himself to take over. Robin was telling friends she was scared, that Mike's moods were unpredictable, that she didn't feel safe. Mike was telling friends that Robin and her mother were draining him financially and emotionally, that they'd isolated him from everyone who cared. The tabloids smelled blood, stories leaked. Tyson marriage in trouble. Robin Givens fears for her life. The press painted Mike as the villain, the violent boxer, the abuser. Robin was the victim, the educated actress trapped with a monster. Mike's behavior didn't help. He crashed cars, got into bar fights, looked disheveled, paranoid. He wasn't sleeping, wasn't training properly. His next fight against Michael Spinks in June 1988 was supposed to be his crowning moment. He knocked Spinks out in 91 seconds, easiest $20 million he ever made. But he looked miserable at the press conference, dead inside. By September, both Mike and Robin knew the marriage was over, but neither wanted to be the one to end it publicly. So they agreed to do something that, in hindsight, was insane: go on television together to set the record straight. Barbara Walters was the most respected journalist in America. Her interviews were events, presidents, celebrities, royalty. Everyone said yes to Barbara. She had a gift for making people reveal more than they intended. A gentle voice, masking surgical precision. When her team reached out to Mike and Robin about doing a joint interview for ABC's 2020, both sides agreed. Mike thought it would help his image, show people he was a good husband trying to make things work. Robin thought it would give her a platform to tell her side, to let America know she was suffering. Neither understood what was about to happen. Neither realized Barbara's questions had already been crafted to expose the cracks. The interview was scheduled for late September 1988 to be filmed at Mike and Robin's mansion in Bernardsville, New Jersey. Barbara's team arrived with cameras, lights, and a list of questions. Mike was nervous. Robin was prepared. She'd rehearsed, talked to her publicist. Her mother was there, off camera, coaching. Mike had no one. His corner was empty. Kevin Rooney had been fired. His managers were ineffective. Don King was watching from the shadows, happy to let Mike self-destruct. Mike was alone. Barbara Walters, a master interviewer, knew exactly what she was doing. She could sense the tension. She asked the questions that would detonate the marriage on live television. And both Mike and Robin walked right into it. September 30th, 1988, 10 p.m. Eastern, ABC 2020. 23 million Americans tuned in. Living rooms across the country went quiet. This wasn't just another celebrity interview. This was the undefeated heavyweight champion about to talk about his marriage on live television. The segment opens with Barbara Walters introducing boxing champion Mike Tyson and his wife, actress Robin Givens. The camera pans to show them sitting on a couch. Mike on the left, Robin on the right, a visible gap between them. The body language says everything. Barbara starts gently, asks about their relationship. Robin answers. Mike nods. Then Barbara asks, "Robin, there have been reports that you're afraid of Mike. Is that true?" Robin doesn't hesitate. Yes. The word hangs in the air. Mike's face doesn't change. He just stares ahead. You can almost hear America collectively gasp. Barbara presses. "What are you afraid of?" Robin takes a breath, then delivers the line that will define the interview. He's scary, he's volatile, he shakes, he pushes, he can't sleep, he has mood swings. It's been pure hell. The camera cuts to Mike. He's silent, head slightly down, not defending himself, not speaking, just sitting there. Barbara asks him directly, "Mike, what do you say to that?" "She's right," he mumbles. His voice is barely audible. "I'm manic-depressive. I'm a lot to handle." Robin continues. She talks about his anger, his outbursts, how she walks on eggshells, how she doesn't know which Mike she'll get, the loving one or the terrifying one. Barbara nods sympathetically, asks if Mike has ever hit her. "He's grabbed me, pushed me," Robin says carefully. "I'm scared for my safety." Mike says nothing. He doesn't defend himself, doesn't deny it, doesn't explain. He just sits there, looking, small. The most feared heavyweight champion in the world looks like a scolded child. Then Ruth Roper, Robin's mother, joins the interview. She sits next to Robin and piles on. Talks about how worried she is, how she doesn't sleep, how she's afraid Mike might hurt her daughter. Mike still says nothing. He looks broken, humiliated, trapped. Barbara asks one final question. "Do you think this marriage can survive?" Robin answers immediately. "I don't know. I don't think so. Not like this." Mike just shakes his head. The interview ends. 12 minutes that felt like an eternity. America had just watched Iron Mike get destroyed on national television. The reaction was immediate. Newspapers ran front-page stories the next morning. Tyson's marriage collapses on live TV. Robin Givens calls Mike Tyson scary and volatile. Iron Mike broken by wife. Talk shows dissected every moment. Water cooler conversations across America revolved around one question. Did you see that interview? Comedians made jokes. The world saw Mike Tyson in a way they never had. Weak, silent, defeated. Domestic violence advocates praised Robin for speaking out. Women's groups called her brave. Abuse hotlines reported a spike in calls. Robin became a symbol of courage, a woman standing up to her powerful, violent husband. The narrative was set, victim speaks, abuser exposed. But there was another side. People close to Mike said Robin and her mother orchestrated the whole thing, that they wanted to paint Mike as unstable for a bigger divorce settlement, that Robin had been coaching Mike to say manic-depressive to build a legal case. Mike filed for divorce in October 1988, less than a month after the interview. The divorce was finalized in February 1989. Robin reportedly received between $8 and $10 million, though exact figures were never confirmed. Mike's reputation was destroyed. Sponsors dropped him. His public image shifted from exciting champion to dangerous abuser. Trainers left. Friends distanced themselves. Don King moved in and took control. Mike spiraled into depression, paranoia, and self-destruction. Robin's career took off briefly. She got more acting roles, was praised in the media. But over time, the public turned on her too. People questioned her motives, asked why she married him if she was so afraid, wondered if she'd used the interview to boost her profile. Today, Mike Tyson is 58. He's talked about the Barbara Walters interview dozens of times over the years. In early interviews, he was defensive, angry. "She set me up. Her and her mother used me." But in recent years, especially after therapy, his tone has changed. "I was sick. I was out of control. I don't blame her for being scared. I scared myself." He's admitted he was emotionally abusive, that he couldn't control his rage, that he said terrible things. He acknowledges he was a monster during that time. In one interview, he broke down talking about it. "I watched that interview now and I don't recognize that person." Robin Givens is 59. She's continued acting but never reached the height she hoped for. She's spoken about the marriage consistently. Mike was abusive. She was terrified. The interview saved her life. She's become an advocate for domestic violence survivors. In 2009, Robin said, "I don't regret speaking out. I regret marrying him." In 2019, Mike said, "I forgive her. She did what she had to do. I was the problem." It's the closest thing to reconciliation they'll ever have. Two people who destroyed each other finally understanding their own parts in it. They haven't spoken in decades, probably never will. But the interview lives forever. On YouTube, it's been viewed millions of times. Every few years, it resurfaces. A reminder of when America watched a marriage implode, when the strongest man in the world looked powerless. The Barbara Walters interview changed everything. For Mike, it was the beginning of the end. His reputation never recovered. The image of him sitting silent while Robin called him volatile became iconic. Memeable, a cultural reference. For Robin, it was both triumph and curse. She escaped the marriage, got financial security, but became forever linked to Mike Tyson. Known more for that interview than anything she achieved on her own. For America, it was a conversation starter about domestic violence, power dynamics, what abuse looks like when both people are damaged. The interview aired in 1988 before terms like toxic relationship were common, before therapy was normalized, before #MeToo. But watching it now, you see it all. Two broken people destroying each other, one with physical power, one with emotional intelligence, both losing. The lesson isn't simple. It's not Mike was the villain or Robin was the manipulator. They were both young, both famous, both carrying unprocessed trauma. Mike shouldn't have married someone he barely knew. Robin shouldn't have married someone she was afraid of. If Mike had gotten therapy in 1986 instead of 2006, if Robin had left the first time she felt unsafe. But no one intervened. So 23 million watched it fall apart. Here's the final question. Was the Barbara Walters interview Robin's moment of courage or a calculated move for a divorce settlement? Maybe it was both. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the truth is never clean. One thing is certain. That 12-minute interview destroyed Iron Mike, and he spent the next 20 years trying to put himself back together.